So, we've all broken things. Like, either you get a cup of water or something and the glass falls and breaks on the floor, or you open the fridge and everything falls out and breaks. You have probably broken a few things before. Well, I have as well. But the thing about me is that I'm actually the best breaker of things in the entire world. Because, as the name implies, I have broken so many things inside my past. And if you don't believe that I have broken so many things, then sit down, get a snack and a drink and a blanket. No, seriously. Pause this video right now and get a snack, drink, and blanket in that order. Okay, now that you're prepared, let me tell you about almost every time I have broken something of value. So, this first story begins when my father showed me the show called Cobra Kai. And if you haven't watched that show, just think Karate Kid, but with a bigger budget and as a series. And in the show, since it's a continuation of the Karate Kid, there's going to be a little bit of karate in the show. And wow, that show gave me so much inspiration. Wow, the show gave you inspiration to keep your anger within you and not act on violence, and also use karate as defense? No, it gave me the inspiration to beat the absolute living shit out of my brothers. And that's what we did almost every day. We would just be inside the living room fighting. So you can see how this would lead to some damage of property. But we didn't think anything bad would happen. Until one day, me and my brothers Ducky and Malik were fighting, and they decided to team up on me, which, by the way, was not a part of the non-existent rules. But anyway, Ducky did a sweep the leg thing, which also was against our non-existent rules, and Malik kicked me in the chest into a table with like a lamp on it, and it looked something like this. Go get him! No! And then my dad came in the room after hearing the crash, and Dad, that lamp was my first ever lamp that I've had since childhood. That lamp has been with me since my very beginning, and I have never gone life without it, and now I'm gonna have to. Dad, I'm sorry. Yeah, my dad wasn't too happy. But, on the bright side, that breaking the lamp situation did not stop us from doing karate. So, yeah. But, speaking of breaking glass, there was this one time, years before the first story, when me and Malik were babies. And we were just chilling outside until we, as babies, were really bored. So I look over at Malik, and he looks at me like, Bye, Bob. Yay. Can I take these rocks and throw them at this house? What the Sigma? Okay, let's go. So yeah, at my own house, on the property, there were two separate buildings. And this one was the actual house, and this one was like a glorified garage. And we called it the man house. It was as big as our house, but didn't have any electricity, no water in it, so we just used it for storage. But anyways, at the front of the man house was this huge window. And me and Malik decided that we were going to go throw rocks at it. And guess what? When we threw the rocks at it, it didn't break. Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, but we were beta babies at the time, and our throwing strength was the strength of a baby kitten. Yeah, we were not going to break this thing. And that got me angry. So, instead of throwing little pebbles, I decided I could throw a bigger rock, because, it wouldn't break, so that's fine. And, oh, frick. So, I realized what I had done after it was too late. So, I decided I was going to do, what anyone would do, and go hide from my problems. And that actually worked. Until the next morning, when my mom woke up at 6 a.m. because she was going to school to become a nurse, and she was about to get into her car when, oh man, it's really hard struggling between working towards my career and taking care of a bunch of little brats. But I think yesterday they behaved really well, so I believe that balancing this work-life thing can be manageable. So, she went back inside and told my dad, like a tattletale, and me and Malik were woken up to this. Huh? Dad? You have some explaining to do. So, me and Malik were being basically interrogated by my parents for what felt like an eternity, until I said the most stupidest thing ever. Guess what I blamed it on? Yeah, I blamed it on the wind. I think that's the starting point of my parents being disappointed in me. So yeah, I was caught and I got in trouble. But speaking of breaking things, there was this one time that me and my brothers decided to have a sleepover in the living room with just us. So yeah, it wasn't really much of a sleepover, but it didn't matter. What mattered was me and Malik in the morning, we started fighting and tackling each other. And Dill Pickles was trying to stop us, but that just made me more mad. So what I tried to do was I was going to get off Malik so I could go into a better angle so that way I could paralyze him. But when I got up, I accidentally hit my head on the dresser behind me. And... oh! Yeah, I hit the TV and it fell on me. And Dill Pickles got the TV off of me, and then he decided that we needed to check if the TV still worked. So he turned it on and... oh, frick. Yeah, I snapped the TV, and it still technically worked, but when me and my brothers would play the best game of all time, Toy Story 3, the game, on the TV, it just didn't hit the same. And eventually that TV decided to kill itself and shut down. And it would not turn back on. Yeah. But speaking of Dill Pickles, there's this one time that I was annoying Dill Pickles a lot. And since he was a moody teenager, he decided that he was going to go into his room and lock the door. So what I decided to do was just punch the door until he would open it. Until eventually... Please don't tell Tag. Please don't tell Tag. Yeah, I took the door off its hinges. I don't even know that was possible. And yeah, my dad came up the stairs and saw it, and then he got even more disappointed in me. And I got in actual trouble that time. And I never broke another thing again. Until one day I was filming a plush video on my old channel, and I wanted to do a 5-part camping series. But for the series, I needed to build our blue tent that we had. And I needed Malik's help, and we spent like an hour on it. And we were at the last step until I realized that the plastic / like metal wires thing that was going through the tent weren't bending correctly, so that way it wouldn't go into the ground. And I looked over the steps again, and I realized that I missed something that I would have to basically restart putting the tent together. And it took me like an hour. And if you have ever been to camping, you know that setting up a tent is basically impossible, even by yourself. So I didn't want to do that again. So what I decided to do was force the wire into the ground. And yeah, I broke the plastic that was like that basically holding the tent together, and I ruined it. After I finished the series, we put it back up, and I never told anyone. But hey, don't worry, those videos got a lot of views. And after that experience, I never broke another thing ever again. Until one day, we were at our new house, and on the day prior, my stepmom, who from now I'm going to call Jennifer Aniston. So anyways, Jen had made us these smoothies from her blender. And the next day she was at work, and I wanted to get another smoothie. So I put all the ingredients inside the blender, got my cup ready. I plugged it in, and yeah, the top of the blender, it would not close. And since I don't learn from my freaking lessons, the tenting, I forced the top to close. And whoop-de-frickin-do, it got stuck. And it would not come off. After I realized that I wasn't coming off, I told my dad, and he tried using his dad's strength. Did not work. We tried using my strength. That definitely did not work. We tried using a fork, but literally nothing was getting this thing off. So we had to throw it away. So, sorry, Jen, about that. My bad. And later she told me that blender was like $400. But anyways, now, you might not believe me, but I have more stories about me breaking things. But, look at the timestamp of this video. It's getting too long. So I'm just going to end it here. So, to everyone that I affected with my past actions, hey, good news, I didn't have to pay any money for it. Anyways, subscribe, and bye.